Okay, we'll call the Orange County DPW committee meeting to order. First thing we need approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Supervisor Garrity, Supervisor Hogan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, now I'll turn it over to Mr. Benway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing I have for discussion, you asked me to table and bring back, was the Thermit Connections asking to use the railroad for this winter. I mentioned it in September, and they had us wait a few months for negotiations.
Okay, Mr. Loeb.
Thank the Chair. What is said? I don't recall that discussion.
In September, I asked for Thermit to use from Stony Creek Ranch up to Thurman Station, like we did the years prior. But we were waiting to find out what the negotiation for the railroad
For the railroad,
was, so
right,
I was
yeah.
asked to wait and bring it back.
That may be, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's the
Just
railroad
elaborate. Right, I know that.
The Snowmobile Club uses the railroad
okay.
tracks
As a corridor.
as a corridor,
Oh, okay.
as a trail.
All right, now I'm clear. Okay. I thought you got your own little railroad.
Sorry, no, he's a tobogganer.
Okay, so, well, what is the pleasure of the committee?
Use it.
I'll second
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
I mean, it's
Okay,
for years.
hold on. Everybody's at once. Supervisor Loeb, you made the motion, right?
Oh, actually,
No, he had the question.
see, I already said-
I'll make that motion.
He seconded it. Okay, discussion. Supervisor Garrity, Supervisor Merlino.
Provide the proper insurance coverage, just,
Correct,
certificate insurance.
correct.
Supervisor Merlino?
I was gonna ask the same thing. They should get the insurance and give us a note of,
We enter in an agreement.
because
with the-
are you saying some, Stony Creek up, but you do that, they're gonna start popping on in Hadley Station, because they always did anyway. So, be forewarned, you're gonna wind up having the length. But it's a bigger connection and it helps everybody.
It does.
Amen.
Okay, Mr. Wild, do you have anything you want, because I think you tabled it maybe at the last...
No, I'm happy with this.
Okay. We ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Second item I have for you is the first year we've done what they call super yearlings for our stocking program. This fall, we had put 350 rainbow trout at an average of 12.2 to 12.5 average growth, which actually gave them, from spring till now, 3.5-inch growth. So we're trying this program where Jeff Ingley and I went to this several seminars where the fishermen prefer to have quality fish versus quantity. So we listened to when we brought you the permit this past spring, we changed some of our numbers and we've actually gone out this fall and that has been completed. Tomorrow, salmon in Lake George, in the northern basin and the southern basin, and all of our heritage strain has been stocked to date. So far to date, through the hatchery, we've had 101,347 total fish through our hatchery just this year alone. And now we'll start our program again, taking in eggs in roughly 3 to 4 weeks. So we are complete as of tomorrow. And on the last page also, I have a graph too that tells every year. You'll see that we went up substantially in 2019. That's because of the Heritage Program. We work closely with the state. So we've actually done, 27,530 of just the wild strain into the Adirondacks.
Thank you.
Excellent. Supervisor Loeb?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. When I was a kid, my father used to go out, put on his hip boots, go out into the river and interview the anglers. Is there any data as to the number of trout that are stocked versus survival rate as far as living and dying in the water versus what are caught and versus how many are actually spawned for the next year to become part of the natural population?
The program's actually based on what they call a put and take system. That's why our program's the same every year. They feel that whatever we put in the waters, the fishermen take. Obviously, you're not going to catch them all, but they will spawn naturally. that's why we keep going over and over the same program in the same waters, because they feel that they're removed. So by doing so, that's how we ended up with this fall program, calling them super yearlings, give them a little bit more growth for the guys. Like when we were stocking this year, there's 8 to 10 just on the screw fishing in the fall season, where everybody thinks it's spring throughout the summer. It's just the opposite. It's back up again.
Supervisor Garrity?
Tim, will you will you have to work with the state again, helping them out? You think, was that with salmon, or what was it that you helped them with this year?
Yeah, the trout in the classroom, that comes out in the spring.
Yeah, but didn't you help them when they had a problem with some eggs?
Yeah, they had a shortfall, and they're actually going to have a shortfall again, and we stripped some of our own
So
and,
you're-
and passed them along through the other hatcheries.
Was that salmon, or what was
That was rainbow and brook trout.
Brook
both.
trout,
Yep. The salmon we get already spawn at 6 to 7 inches in June.
Okay.
That's from Adirondack.
Supervisor Diamond?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tim, I got a question for you about, you mentioned you're going to stock some salmon. I've spent some time this year on Lake George. Could you please share with me where you stocked the salmon? I haven't caught any.
Yeah.
I with lake trout, but I really haven't caught any salmon.
We've actually gone out in boats too, and actually put them out in the center of the lake.
Out by Dome Island?
Just south of it, in the northern zone, it's...
Okay, you're narrowing down my scope.
Supervisor Diamond, I can help you with that.
All right.
I've done a lot of extensive salmon fishing on Lake George.
Is that because you have the in with Tim?
Get them from the pond in Orange.
Before I was elected. Yeah, I have access to the hatchery pond.
I got the map.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from...
The only other
Fennel?
thing I had, I brought some photos. We've, our major project for this year was to rehab the office building at the hatchery itself. So I included a picture when we started last year, and then the final two are the actual pages of actually what the facility looks like now. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hajos for the Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first three items I have are notice of intent to fill positions. The first one is for an MEO light, the second is for a medium, and the last one is for the highway manager. The highway manager wasn't included in your packet that was sent out last week. He just informed me this morning. He put in his 2-week notice. So I called out to the chairman as well as to the county administrator and asked him to have it put in today.
Supervisor Lowe?
Move all three.
Thank you. Seconded by Supervisor Garrity. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The next item is on page 5 of the agenda, and this is a transfer for road projects. This is just a transfer of salaries for our road projects.
Supervisor McGowan, you have a second. Supervisor Loeb, any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
On page 6 is a transfer for salaries again for the machine shop, and this is for 2 different scenarios. One was for a tow call, and the other one's for the division head who was out. I had to have the next in line cover it.
Supervisor McGowan, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next one is on page 7. This is a bid we put out every couple of years. It's for roof waste reduction. This is basically any time that we have trees down on the road and we remove the trees, we bring them back to our Tony pit up in Warrensburg, Lake George, and we have a company come in and basically take all that wood and put it through a grinding tub and turn it into mulch for us.
Supervisor Dickinson, seconded by Supervisor Garrity. Any discussion? Supervisor Loeb.
Just the process, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is that, do we cart these tree branches back, or do they do it on site, go around with the chipper?
It depends. A lot of times when we cut trees, when trees are down, sometimes we'll leave wood on the road. We don't necessarily say it's for anybody's taking. If people take it, they take it. If it's not taken, we typically bring it back to the Tony pit, and then we just leave it there in piles, and eventually have this tub grinding company come in and basically chip it. We tried to kind of put the chips outside the facility for people to take. No one takes it, it just sits there.
Supervisor Wild.
What's the extent of our right-of-way for taking wood alongside the road with regard to the Constitution and that issue of no taking wood from the
It
woods?
depends on the road. Some of our roadways are highway by use. Basically, whatever we maintain, we can basically clear the trees out on those. Other roads are what we call three-rod roads, which is basically 25 feet center line of road. And then others, we may have more. It depends on what we've done in the past as far as like a reconstruction. Like you take Corinth Road, for example, or Main Street down in Queensbury. We own approximately 2 feet beyond the sidewalk, but that's probably 30 to 40 feet from center line of road.
Thank you.
Supervisor McGowan.
Yes, didn't we at one time have a stockpile of split wood over here for, like the heat program and that for people?
We used to, and it was advertised that we had it, and it just sat there, and we just started to get termites and ants and things like that, so we
Yep.
decided not to do it anymore.
And, like I said, stacking it, I mean, I see a lot of like the state and that, they'll come and and they just blow it into the woods. I mean, chip it as we go. Do we have a,
We do that, it depends on the branch. Any of the larger pieces is typically what we bring back that we can't put through the chippers, what we bring back to the pit.
and Rick Sears, big tub, I mean, it's quite a machine he's got here. It is amazing.
He's the only one in this area.
Yep.
And he's the only one that ever bids on it.
All right.
Supervisor Wild.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kevin, is Peggy Ann County Road in Queensbury?
Peggy Ann, no, it's a town road.
Okay. Yeah, I had a constituent ask me about some trees that looked like they were going to fall down into the road, and I didn't know.
Dave Duell, I'll give you his number.
Supervisor Leggett, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kevin, I see on this sheet here that all the towns are listed, so if we wanted to contract Sears to come up and plan for us, it's available to us?
Absolutely, that's what we do, is we put it in there for the towns as well, because a lot of the towns said that they've kept it, like I know Warrensburg keeps it over in their transfer station. I believe Chester does as well, so you guys, whenever they come in town, you're able to piggyback on this and use it.
Okay. No, actually, we gave up taking any brush, but we did not have a way of getting rid of it.
Same with Horrigan. Okay, any other discussion?
School with Rick Sears.
You ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Next item is on page 9 of the agenda, it's just to amend the county budget. This is basically to move funds that are in capital projects back to their fund sources, which is going back to the transfer to capital projects.
Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Dickinson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The next 5, I believe, on page 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 are federal aid projects. What we're going to do is take that money out of transfer to capital projects and put it into each one of these to establish capital projects, which this will basically cover the local match for all those projects.
Supervisor Garrity, is that all of them?
Yes.
Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Dickinson. Call the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. It was 10 through 14.
The last item I have on there is a request for a new contract for auto body services. This was missed last year, that when the resolution was done, it was only done for 1 year, although we did put the bid out for extensions. So we're going to redo the contract with Warrensburg Collision Center for auto body repair services, and this would allow for this extension and then one more beyond this.
Supervisor McGowan, seconded by Supervisor Dickinson. We're ready for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Of course, the last couple pages, part of the packet, is the overtime and fuel reports. And then I have photos of the final road that we've paved. We have one more left to do, and that is Federal Hill Road, which will be done this week.
Okay, Supervisor Dickinson,
I move we adjourn.
I was going to ask,
We'll be quick about it. He just got here.
okay, before we adjourn, I want to ask if anybody has anything further. Supervisor Wild.
Adjourn, thanks. Sorry, Dennis.
Stretch it out, will you?
The railroad? We're going to talk about the railroad now or not?
Sure.
I don't have anything, but if you guys want to have anything to say?
I would just like to have an update on negotiations or wherever the status is in terms of their response to the negotiating committee.
United Rail provided ideas for what the metrics, what types of metrics we ought to be using for the performance, but I've asked them twice to quantify those, give us what an acceptable range would be, given their knowledge of the business and what they're looking to do here, and I still have not gotten feedback on that.
And as a follow-up, how long do we think we should wait before we get a sense that negotiations aren't going anywhere?
I wouldn't make that decision on my own. I think that's for the committee and the negotiating team to decide.
The negotiating team could get together for a few minutes about that after this one.
What do you think, negotiating team?
All right with it. Everybody else has time.
Supervisor Leggett?
And so what's the issue with freight at this point in time? That's still on the table?
We don't have...
There was a filing last Friday by the State Attorney General's office indicating that Saratoga North Creek Railroad is working with the state of New York. It's very brief. I can read it to you right now. This is again from the Attorney General's office addressed to the Surface Transportation Board. This office represents the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in the above captioned proceeding. On September 30th, 2019, the department requested that the board issue a certificate of interim trail use for the subject line of railroad. I have discussed the department's trail use request with David Michaud, counsel for Saratoga and North Creek Railway, and we write jointly to inform the board that Saratoga North Creek Railway is willing to negotiate an interim trail use agreement with the department. In addition, Saratoga North Creek Railway has no objection to proceeding with the pending abandonment on a voluntary basis. Accordingly, Saratoga North Creek Railway irrevocably represents that it does not now and will not in the future oppose the department's abandonment application, and that the public convenience and necessity favor abandonment of the subject line. So, that essentially says that Saratoga North Creek is not interested in running freight and supports the abandonment.
Supervisor Wild?
So if I can ask just one additional question, there might be more, but I'll just leave it to one. Do we have any sense from the STB if there are others that are opposing the abandonment yet?
Well, Mitchell Stone Products certainly is opposing the abandonment. The proceeding is still open. There have been a number of actors that have commented on it. All of that is public information. I'd be happy to compile all of that and send it out to the committee. But at this point in time, there's been no decision made.
Supervisor Loeb, and then we have Supervisor Bramer.
For clarification, so Saratoga North Creek owns we're talking about the whole stretch, Warren County and Essex County?
No, they own north of North Creek.
Right, but we're talking about the whole thing. So they're saying we own the...
No.
The abandonment...
What you just read,
Sanford Street line.
you just read that
Miles in Essex County.
Saratoga North Creek owns Sanford Street, the Sanford line,
Right.
and they say, it's fine, it's abandoned,
Yeah, they're not opposing the abandonment of that portion of the line.
which is quite interesting, and they're the railroad operator,
Right.
so they're going to just eat it.
You know, the fate of that portion of the line has always been a determinant in what happens with our line.
Thank you.
Supervisor Bramer?
To Mike Wild's question, there was, STB issued like a decision at the end of August saying that all public comments related to the abandonment should be submitted by September 30th. And neither Mitchell nor United Rail submitted any comments in opposition to the abandonment. They have previously sent in letters to the STB, but their time to say, hey, we have freight and we want to keep this line open was basically in September of 2019, and they didn't submit anything. I would submit to you, once again, that we should be planning for something else with the railroad, because even if we were to try to get a tourist train, it's not going to be self-sufficient without either freight or some other kind of use. And I'm sure you know what my other uses I'm referring to, like the snowmobile thing that we just approved today. We should be planning for that.
Supervisor Molino, did you have your hand out prior? Okay, I'm sorry.
Been involved in it.
I'll speak to that. The issue, as I've seen it, we have an ongoing negotiation with an operator that is primarily interested in doing a tourist train, which could be done on an abandoned line. The abandonment, again, doesn't refer to stopping the use of trains. It refers to no more freight on the line. So what United Rail has submitted in their proposal is compatible with an abandoned line. However, United Rail has also indicated that if it's possible for them to be able to run freight out of the mine, that they're interested in doing that. So for this county to, and again, it's up for the board to decide, but my opinion on this has been that for this county to comment on the abandonment proceeding or to discuss doing an abandonment proceeding here, it's kind of putting the cart before the horse with respect to an interested contractor that we're in negotiations with. You know, if United Rail in their perfect world wants to do freight, I don't think it's advantageous for us to put up a roadblock to that desire while we're still negotiating with them. To me, it almost seems like negotiating in bad faith. That's been my hesitation to advise this committee to take a public position on that particular proceeding. And so we're still waiting to see where that proceeding is going to end.
Okay, anything further?
No, Dennis.
Make a motion, we adjourn finally?
We have a motion. Now we got a second, now I can speak.
Yeah.
For those of you that are on the Parks Operation Management Committee, that meeting has been canceled, and the occupancy tax coordination has been moved to 10 a.m. on October 22nd, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That's good enough.
Meeting notices are going to go out, but I was asked
Can you make it?
to relay that information in a quest of being transparent and
Well, that's good to know.
forthright. Okay, call the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Kevin, Al Bassett, and I know you have a